know me as Debbie Dick. I met Gary in 1980. First I met Gary, Philip Gilbo, who was a dear, dear friend of ours who was also passed and had a great deep voice. And he kept talking about Gary and the Dicks coming, and Gary and the Dicks coming, and Stella and I, my old roommate, and I got sick of it. But finally, the door busted open one day, and there was Gary. And I was kind of slutty at the time, but we all know how Gary felt about that, so he and I became fast friends. And then one day, he had to give the Dicks some shows, so he had to go to the On Broadway. I think Dave Dichter from NBC set it up. He was going to meet Dirk, who booked it On Broadway at that time. And Gary said, come with me. And I was like, me? Why? Like, at the time, I was planning on having a whole different life. And, but he said, come with me, Dirk will think you're pretty, or something like that. Of course, we get there, Dirk's queer. He doesn't care what I look like, you know? He's more interested in Gary than he is me. But anyways, Dirk offers the Dicks $50. And I was just a brat. And I was like, $50? Are you kidding? These guys are from fucking Austin. You got to pay them more than that. And Dirk's like, I should throw you out the window for that. And Gary's like, oh, shut up. And I was like, no, you should get more than that. And so Dirk went, all right, fine, I'll give him $250. And Gary turned to me and went, that's it, you're my fucking manager. But I was his manager. And so we went on a tour, Rock Against Reagan, that shows how old we all are. And when we got to Austin, the Dicks, Buck, Boone, and Pat, decided they didn't want to come back to San Francisco. And so when Gary and I asked them why, they said, I love this line, this was the Glenn Taylor line, because you can't go any further west. But that's what he said. So Gary said, I'll get on a plane and go back to San Francisco. I'll meet you there in 2 weeks. We'll put together a band. We're going to reform the Dicks out there. I was like, okay. So we get out, I come back out, and I took 4 or 5 musicians that have Gary interview him, and he knocked them all out. No. But he was right, because what he did end up doing is meeting Lynn Perko, who became his wife. And he was right, I was wrong, which he loved to point out to me all the fucking time. Gary and I fought like brother and sister. We had a long, long life together. But then the Dicks broke up, and I was no longer Debbie Dick. I was Debbie Gordon again. And Sister of Happiness was formed. So Sister of Happiness came about, great band, obviously, and got signed to Warner Brothers, and we went on the road with Nirvana, Soundgarden, and all kinds of bands, famous bands, and they all loved Gary, of course. And then we got back, and things life goes on. And finally, at the end, Gary fired me. So he fired me, 9 years, 10 years in, he fired me as his manager. So I was like, okay. So the next day, the very next day, doll, I got a cut on my foot, and I got to go to the doctor's. And I was like, you fired me. And he's like, doll, I fired my manager, not my fucking sister. Get your ass over here and drive me to the doctor's. So I did. So, of course, that's how Gary and I's friendship ended up. We became brother and sister and had just the longest, most lovely friendship. We spoke, mostly every day. We both were very sad when cell phones came around because we could no longer hang up on each other. You know, it doesn't work. We love that old, oh, you're talking too much, click. You know, we loved doing that. Anyway, that was my life with Gary. I talked to him every day. Well, towards the end, only 5 times a week, maybe 6 times a week. We really cut it down. One time somebody asked us, what do you guys talk about? And we're like, nothing. Like, yeah, but you talk every day. Yeah, about nothing. Well, like everything, but nothing, really. That was us. Anyways, I'm a very lucky person. I got to be friends with Philip Gilbo, but most importantly, I got to talk to Gary Floyd every day of my life for 44 years. Thank you.